Hey, hey, my dear. Welcome to the Fluent podcast for advanced English learners, where you learn new things each day and practice your listening skills. The topic of the day is the British values. Let's go, my dear.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are getting right into the heart of British identity.
We've got a fascinating set of sources here, everything from, casual street interviews to official government frameworks.
Yeah, and the mechanisms of active citizenship. It's the whole picture.
It really is.
So our mission is to synthesize what it means to be British today. We're going to compare the official rulebook, the fundamental British values, with how people on the ground actually, experience their identity.
And then look at how they translate that into practical change.
Okay, let's unpack this. Do the official values even match up with what people actually feel?
Well, it's complex because you're dealing with two parallel ideas, aren't you? You've got the informal, sort of emotional identity that just grows organically.
And then the formal legal framework you need to run a unified country.
Exactly.
So let's start with that informal side, the vibe of Britain. Our sources kicked off with these anecdotal perceptions.
Asking people what comes to mind.
And you get all the classic stuff. Good humor, rain, seaside holidays, music festivals.
Bangers and mash.
Of course. And someone mentioned a pretty flag.
But what's really interesting is that one thing seemed to cut through all of that, a structural element that came up again and again.
The monarchy. It was the number one mention. And the sources were clear. This isn't just about the pageantry.
No, it's about that unique constitutional setup, the relationship between the monarchy, parliament, and ministers. The sources noted it's found nowhere else on the planet.
Right. It's the thing that defines the state structure, whether you personally support it or not.
It's the political history in a nutshell.
So setting that aside, what about the values people came up with themselves before they even heard the official list?
Yeah, the unofficial values. They were very focused on social care, I thought.
So generous. People said hospitality, kindness, warmth, caring.
A lot of consideration. And interestingly, one source observed that these might have once been linked to, say, the Bible, but now they're just seen as, innate human traits.
And modern values really came through too. Multicultural and just simple humanity were mentioned as core characteristics.
And there was this real hope of moving past old stereotypes.
Yeah, that idea of being uptight or well-spoken. The sources suggested a hope that stigma is, gone.
But the strongest unofficial value, I think, was about individual voice and respect.
Oh, definitely. The importance of teaching children they have a right to be heard, to be respected.
And crucially, to respect the views and rights of others.
That's a really powerful grassroots idea for how to live in a diverse society.
It is. But, a functional society needs more than just shared kindness. It needs defined rules.
And that leads us right to the formal framework, the official rule book. Here's where it gets really interesting. The government has these 4 official fundamental British values, the FBV, that you find in all the educational material.
And these aren't just suggestions. They're the absolute foundation of the UK's social contract.
So the first pillar is democracy.
Right.
At its core, it's about making sure everyone has a real say in how the country is run.
The opposite of a dictatorship. And Britain's democratic roots go way back to the 13th century.
It includes freedom of speech, the right to disagree with politicians, and the right to actually participate.
And that participation is so key. The source pointed out you can vote or stand for office at 18.
Yeah, and the UK's youngest ever prime minister was only 24. That says a lot about valuing youth participation.
It really does.
Okay, so the second value, the rule of law.
This one is vital. And I think it's often misunderstood.
How so?
It's not just about having laws. It's the promise that those laws apply equally to absolutely everyone.
From a new immigrant right up to the prime minister.
Exactly. It means there are consequences for bad behavior, a fair way to end disagreements, and it protects our human rights.
So things like freedom of religion and the right to a fair trial.
It's the shield for the individual against arbitrary power.
Right. And the third is individual liberty.
The freedom to choose how you live your life.
Without being stopped because of your gender, your beliefs, your background, or your skin color. It's about personal autonomy.
And that links directly to the last one. Mutual respect and tolerance.
Tolerance being understanding that everyone has a right to their own beliefs, even if they're totally different from yours.
Yes, and the mutual respect part is the key. It's a two-way street.
You don't have to agree, but you have to respect their right to hold that view.
And they have to respect your right in return.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture,
These 4 values are designed to be universal. They're the framework that lets millions of different people live together freely and safely. They're what officially unites the nation.
and when the public in these sources was actually shown that list, the reaction was really positive.
Overwhelmingly, people said they were very good and that the country should stick to them.
Many felt they could see them at work in their own lives.
But this is where the really interesting discussion starts. The critiques.
Right. There's this massive contradiction in the sources about whether the country is actually living up to these ideals.
And this tension is profound. Some argue that, most people want to live by these values, but they see the political leadership as the problem. There's a crisis of trust.
And those critiques were, well, they were not mild.
No. We have to be careful here and just report what the sources said, but some of the language was incredibly strong.
Observers saying the values have been lost or destroyed.
And using phrases because of what they called institutionalized lying, like, and this is a direct quote, the perverted kingdom.
Wow, so the feeling is a huge disconnect between the ideals we teach our kids and the behavior people see at the top.
Exactly. And that structural contradiction we mentioned earlier, it comes right back into play here, doesn't it?
The monarchy.
Mm-hmm. One critique specifically said the very idea of an inherited head of state is, quote, really contradictory to the value of democracy.
So it puts tradition and democratic equality in direct conflict.
It's a paradox the country has to navigate every single day.
But what's so fascinating is the sources suggest the energy to uphold these values hasn't vanished. It's just shifted.
Shifted from the national political stage to the local community.
That's a great way of putting it. The sources had these brilliant examples of those unofficial values, kindness, humanity being lived out locally.
Yeah, that neighbor, nearly 70 years old, who organized a huge party and cooked for elderly people in care homes for the Platinum Jubilee.
That's pure consideration and generosity just through personal action.
It is.
And the really wild one for me, the groups supporting mental health by organizing swimming sessions in the North Sea.
In the middle of winter, near
Yeah.
Newcastle, getting kids and adults into that freezing water.
I mean, that level of care for each other, braving those temperatures, it just shows the power of those unofficial values, doesn't it?
It really does. And these actions are the perfect transition from abstract values to practical citizenship.
Because an active citizen isn't just someone who knows the rules.
Right. It's someone who takes their knowledge, their skills, their understanding, and they participate.
With the ultimate goal of bringing about change.
So how does that actually work? The sources break it down into 2 main types of action.
You've got formal action. This is the traditional stuff.
Working within the system, joining a political party, voting, maybe even running for office.
And then there's informal action. This is more external.
Right, supporting campaigns, going to protests, signing petitions, that sort of thing.
And the toolkit for getting involved is just, it's huge. The most common way is joining a pressure group.
A group of people who want to push for a specific change.
And we need to be clear about the 2 different types because their strategies are completely different.
You have your inside groups. Think of the British Medical Association.
They work directly with the government. They use their expertise. They lobby politicians privately. They have a direct line to ministers.
Their power comes from data and influence.
Then you have the outside groups. The example given was Fathers for Justice.
They work externally. Their strategy is all about public visibility, getting media attention.
And using demonstrations to build public support and pressure the government from the outside in.
Beyond just groups, citizens have all these methods. Lobbying, for one. Just persuading politicians to support your cause.
And petitions are crucial, especially e-petitions. They can spread like wildfire and force the government to respond.
Don't forget the economic tools, like a boycott.
Right, refusing to buy something because of a company's practices. And of course, there's trade union action and simple fundraising.
So it's clear that to be successful, you need careful organization and a very sharp strategy.
So what does make a campaign successful? The sources point to a few things: getting media attention, building public support, raising money.
And maybe most importantly, choosing the right method for your goal.
So what does this all mean in practice? Let's talk about some tangible successes.
Jamie Oliver's campaigns are a perfect example.
The sugar tax and healthy school meals.
Exactly. His sustained activism forced the government to completely change national food policy in schools. That's a direct result of public pressure.
We also saw the junior doctors' protests. Their sustained action on pay and hours
Resulted in them getting extra funding for working unsociable hours. It shows direct action can achieve real economic wins.
But the sources also give a really important warning about strategy.
Oh, yeah. The risk of choosing the wrong action. The example was Extinction Rebellion disrupting trains.
And the analysis in the source was that this specific action sent the wrong message.
Right, because it ended up hurting public transport users, the very people who are already trying to make environmentally friendly choices.
So it shows that your strategy matters just as much, if not more, than your intent. You have to maximize support and minimize backlash.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we see is that British identity, its traditions, its values, they're all incredibly dynamic.
They change over time, they vary from person to person.
And new traditions always need the chance to evolve.
So we've looked at the lighthearted side of identity, the rigid official rules, and the complex ways citizens can take action.
It's clear the UK is a place where, despite critiques of the system, communities are constantly working to live up to the best version of their values.
And this leaves us with a real tension. The question for you to think about is what the role of tradition is in a country that's so defined by individual liberty and multicultural.
Some of these historical markers, like the monarchy or national holidays, they matter deeply to some people. For others, the priority is adapting values for the 21st century.
So what is that balance? Which traditions do you keep and which ones need to evolve?
And more importantly, how might you use the tools of active citizenship, the petitions, the lobbying, the protests, to help shape those evolving values?
Making sure they reflect both the unique history and the multicultural future of Britain.
That's the thought we'll leave you with. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
As always, keep reading, keep thinking, and keep digging deeper. We'll catch you next time.
If you like this video, write in the comments, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and share the video with your friends.
Thanks for watching. Bye now.